Crifoth, once home to the most wondrous kingdom the world had ever known, lasted to nothing in just a fortnight. It is here that the fiends of hell walk among us. It is here where all things die. Welcome to Crifoth. Demon invaders roam the landscape and have conquered all. The world is a ravaged and wrathful wasteland, where the old world lies buried beneath the blood and sand with its gods and its secrets. Water is fought over with blood and steel. Compatible with the 5th edition of the world's oldest fantasy role-playing game, this book contains all new character creation options, including all of the familiar classes with new aspects befitting the ravaged wastelands of Crifoth, along with new backgrounds, subclasses, spells, feats, and so much more. New races will allow you to play as the cursed ash elves, the forsaken humans, the primordial incarnate, the proud orcs, the reptilian suri, or the infernal-blooded tieflings. New game mechanics such as blood, grit, and effort give your games an intense focus on lethality and survival. Numerous role tables full of ideas to help bring your games to life. Featuring incredible thematic art by Brandish Gilhelm of Bluehammer Games, as well as Lloyd Collins. The people of Crifoth are not heroes. In Crifoth it is courage just to survive. Will you rise to face the tide of demons, or will you succumb to the hostile elements? Available now on DriveThruRPG.com.
Hello, and welcome to Dice on Ice. This is episode 6 of Crifoth, Reclamation. Our game is called Ascent. We are moving away from what happened last session. We are in dark hallways. We feel that smooth stone on our fingertips. We feel a heartbeat in our chest, stronger, faster, harder than any heartbeat we've ever felt before. Our mind races with images of red and black, violent scenes, painful memories, hallucinations. The world spins around us. We are gift. Collapse gift. Reeling in this fever dream. Your mouth burns. You feel blisters form on your lips. You feel blisters form on your tongues, on the insides of your cheeks, and down your throat from where the blood passed. But you do not feel the pain because you're too out of body to feel that pain. You do not feel anything. You barely can even recognize your own hands, the ones that are attached to your arms. And everything goes dark as you collapse against the wall. And then you wake up. You see vague blurs and blots in the darkness. You make them out to be your hands. You can feel the cold ground beneath you. You can get up. You don't hear anything. You don't see anything beyond what little dim things your eyes can make out in this pitch black darkness. There is something you can see, however, in the distance. A simple white glow. You cannot see its source. Something glows in the distance. You have survived one day so far into your tiefling transformation. I'll need to get from you a Constitution saving throw. The result of this, you'll have to tally somewhere on your character sheet. Can you make that for me, please?
Yeah, I got it. And I have it already tallied. Okay, new dice. Don't fuck me, dice. Oh, that's a natural 18, sir.
You keep strong. You do not vomit up the blood that is welling in your stomach. You're intact. You're mentally intact as you come to your senses almost completely. What do you do in this isolation?
As you stated, she is feeling worse than she's maybe ever in her life. She it's like the flu times 1,000. It's like everything she's ever wanted. She's not relishing this pain. She feels as if she's lucky that, not to be coy and to make a bit of a pun, she feels by knowing her leader and now have met another 2 tieflings that she's made the right decision and that she's been given a gift. Maybe this is why she has that name. And she womans up. She takes the pain and forces it below. But she can't stop thinking of, where did I go? I'm lost in a place I don't know. And the only person I really know is gonna be really angry at me when I really talk to her next.
You've no memory of how you got to where you are. You have no memory of the place that is your surroundings. You remember this giant complex of white marble stone, but you do not remember this exact room, nor the exact passageway from which you came, nor what that glowing white light in the distance means or what it is. But it calls to you, it beckons to you. A beacon in the darkness. A light at the end of the tunnel. What do you do?
So this isn't a metaphor. There's a legitimate light at the
There's
end
a
of the tunnel.
legitimate light,
Okay,
yes.
yeah. All right. I just want to make sure it wasn't a metaphorical statement. So she gets herself together, and upon kind of trying to stand, as she's been in kind of a knees to your chest, like sitting fetal position, she stretches out her legs, getting a little bit of feeling back into them again, so that she feels as if she can stand. When she does, it takes every bit of her gumption and constitution to make it so she doesn't expel all of the water that she's drank in the last 24 hours.
And as you push yourself off the ground, your hands meet something wet on the stone around you. It's slick. It's some combination of blood, bile, and vomit. The sign of your past night as you lay unconscious. It clings to your hand. It smells it and it reeks. You realize you're covered in it.
All right, so she searches around because the only light that she has at this point is that light at the end of the tunnel, right? Okay. And finds her quarterstaff, and as she's done the entire time we've known Gift, cast a light spell on the end of it to make her own personal torch.
And as you do so, you illuminate the room around you with this sickly green light, I believe is what you said, or blue.
It's blue, yeah.
Blue. This kind of like this subtle blue glow. And you see on the white marble of the walls blood smears, handprints, a cacophony of chaos of these just violent markings all over everywhere, as if someone liberally applied paint to a room. But it is not paint, but it is blood. It is not blood, it is vomit and bile and some other combination of all those sickly bodily fluids that you've been expelling in your vile sickness.
Mm-hmm. And she wonders to herself, is this from me? Is this from some sick joke that someone's playing on me? She looks around to make sure that she's alone.
You see no one else with you, and no signs of anyone else.
And then she kind of starts looking herself over a little bit, and the scene looks very similar on her clothing as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is it the same colored blood as she drank and from the demon, or does it look more human?
It's definitely more human. It's definitely more human.
So it's redder than
It's redder, darker. Yeah.
Okay. She has one water skin left, and she takes a couple of swigs off of it, and walks about the room. Now, besides the body fluid and grossness, what does she see in her general vicinity? And how well is she able to walk, and so on and so forth?
You need to rely upon your quarterstaff, at least in the first bit, to keep your balance and keep your strength in your legs. They wobble and they shake. They ache and they are weak. But you can stand and you can walk.
So it's
And
almost
as
as if
you,
somebody has the flu, like
yeah.
that we know. Okay, yeah.
And as you look closer at the walls and at the floor and everything else around you in this blue light, you see that the surface of the marble walls is not perfectly flat nor smooth. It is bumpy with ridges that you can trace with your fingers. You can feel them rise up and fall down, forming grooves, forming patterns. And you realize that they form images, these grooves and these ridges. You take a step back. You shine your light in a certain way over your head. And the light and the shadows cast down upon it, and it shows a great scene, a mural that stretches from one end of the wall to the next, and continues as far as you can see towards where that ominous glowing in the distance is occurring. You see great scenes of these strangely shaped people lifting giant boulders with ropes and pulleys and wagons. You see one the crown standing on a giant chair, a throne, with a scepter in one hand and a sword in the other. And on you continue to follow down this mural. You see various things, all linking all of these same people. You notice great just swaths of trees. You notice a great pillar, a giant pillar with symbols etched into its sides. You see these people bowing in circular formation around this pillar. Whether they're revering it or they're afeared of it, you can't quite tell. The pictures are too crude to tell. And this picture just keeps extending onwards and onwards as far as you can see.
Okay, so she had a fair amount of books that she's read, and again, she's the only person in this party that's literate, and does it look at all familiar to her?
You can make a history check.
Like how I did that. Would love to do so. Let's try you other D20s. Roll a 15.
The shape of these people stands out to you. You remember reading about them in some journal that had been cataloged and then rewritten as if it was something to study, and then you had recovered this, or someone else had recovered it and kept it for safekeeping. Essentially a journal of a journal of a journal, in which it spoke of stout men, shorter than any of our children. Stout men that once ruled the world. Stout men that were our greatest allies, yet also our greatest enemies. They conquered the skies, the earth, the heavens, and the deeps. Dwarves, they were called.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, you can make no connection with any of the other imagery you see.
And with her studies, when's the last time that we've seen a dwarf?
You know that they do not exist.
So they're a myth, or are they known to have existed?
There is hot debate whether dwarves are mythical creatures or whether they once lived and walked the earth. But there is definitely no dwarf that walks Crifoth today. That is for certain.
Wonderful. She rubs her eyes. She takes a little bit of the precious water and cleans off her hands and her face and kind of tries to get herself a little bit presentable as she kind of uses the light as she's hobbling along with her walking stick. And she just keeps looking at all these murals. And she wishes she just had time to really study them. But suddenly again she feels kind of ill, and it's not one that she can control this time. And she purges over near one of the corners, one of the sides of the wall. Takes another little bit of swig of drink to get rid of that awful coppery taste out of her mouth. And as she shines the light in the ground, it's just straight blood at this point. There's really nothing in her system besides just blood and water. She hasn't eaten in a day. And she gets the courage and stamina back up to take some more steps towards that light that she sees, and continues to trek towards it.
And we will cut from you, gifts, of what you see. Instead, we are one day in the past. The obelisk at the center of this room has cracked and sundered, and its bits and debris are flying in the chaos of cacophony, and just this maelstrom literally in front of you, Carnage and Bone Whisperer. You feel a rumble beneath your feet as pebble by pebble, stone by stone, brick by brick, the floor beneath you gives way, falling into some abyss. The whole structure is reverberating and shaking with some otherworldly force, something that could level a mountain, you imagine. But imagination is not the time which you're able to do right now, because you're literally plummeting and trying to catch your balance. I need both of you please make dexterity saving throws. Carnage, what do you do or say as you are struggling to hang on to one of these floating rocks that crackles with the red lightning and other thrumming energies, as you see Bone Whisperer's frail, cracked fingers lose their grip on the stones that hold her as she plummets to the darkness below?
I am going to try my best as I'm hanging onto one of these, probably one of the edges of this rock, as I'm trying to pull myself up. I'm going to pull my halberd out with my free hand, and I'm going to extend it down, trying to basically give her another opportunity at grabbing onto the end of like the halberd blade. So I'm gonna like hold it blade first near my hand, knowing that I risk cutting myself but I'm gonna hold it hilt out to her as she's falling, and kind of extend my body as far as I can, and hopefully she'll be able to catch this time as she's falling and plummeting to the ground.
And Bone Whisper, you see the handle, this haft of this great pole arm being extended to you. But it is too late. Even if you were to barely scratch it with your claws, your weight would just bring it down with you. Carnage shrinks above you as darkness swallows everything around you. Before Carnage becomes a pinpoint prick of light.
Yeah. I think that as he sees this, you see him enraged, calling out to you, Bone Whisperer. Just like it's this overwhelming sadness, this like devastation, and like just energy to want to rescue you, to want to save you, to keep you alive. You're the one creature that has had sympathy toward him in his life. And I think that is something that he holds deep to. So as he watches her plummet into this darkness, he's numb for the moment. He gingerly pulls that halberd back, kind of hefting it up into one hand, and then pulling himself up with the other arm, kind of pulling himself up onto this platform where he then like can stand and look down into the darkness.
Calling this a platform would be a dubious word at best. It is a floating piece of rock.
Okay.
Maybe a foot in size, in diameter. It is rotating, roiling, and you see that you're just standing amidst this sea, this storm of smashing stones as they form and coalesce into that great eye that you saw in the other chamber. One similar to it. The ceiling above you rumbles and debris falls from it as well. Some almost like gravitate or being pulled into this roiling mess. Others just plummet to the darkness below. You feel that energy literally next to you. You're like less than 2 feet away from the center of this eye. And it calls to you.
Yeah. I think Carnage can feel that too. And he would look down into the darkness as he's trying to keep his balance, this large frame on this small platform. He'd look down into the darkness, not knowing how far it is, not knowing if he's going to survive. But he knows he can't stay on this small platform for long. It'll roil too fast. It'll become too violent. And so he does what he thinks he should. No risk, no reward. And so for a minute, I think he's going to try to jump out into the eye and use a claw to sort of brace himself so that he can have a place to drop down into the darkness. If that's possible, Connor.
Yeah, like you're directly above the void, the abyss. Okay. Yeah. So you can even just like let go at this point. You'd fall.
Yeah. So I think. End. Well, no, because I kind of think I think he's driven to want to touch the eye. Right. Mm-hmm. So the idea is like that he would leap out, grab onto the eye, and then as he's doing that, like knowingly prepare himself for falling into the darkness. He wants to see what's on the other side.
So you glimpse into the eye for that brief moment you have before you plummet into the darkness. Yep. Your body's not your own. You're no longer falling. Or maybe you are falling. You can't be. You're going upwards, not down. And then you go down and up again, and you realize what you're seeing is this mind-melting mishmash of 100 different sights. If you can imagine what an insect sees through its compound eyes, that is what you are seeing. All of these heads, essentially, looking around, flitting about, each independent, each having no master. Some bite and kill. Oh, now you have 99 heads. 98, 97, 98 again, as more heads emerge from nothingness. You walk with two lumbering claws that drag your body across the sand. But you have no end. You feel you stretch on to the end of the earth, to the core of the world itself. You eat 100 dead bodies. You rip the meat from their flesh. You drink what little water is left. And all of you is just submerged into the sand. And you spread like a spider web. It's the most otherworldly sensation you can imagine, as your consciousness is split into 100 different beings and spread to 100 different corners of the world. And then you come back. You're surrounded by darkness. You're falling. You can feel your hair flapping above you. You can feel your tunic, your clothes kind of billowing in free fall. And then you feel your legs snap as you hit something hard. And then your shoulder, and you roll and roll and roll. And then things go dark as you crack your head upon something. Bone Whisperer, like you as well, hit something hard, crack your head, the darkness. You both wake, one after the other. A throbbing head wound, aching shoulders, knees that feel like they've been broken in half. Each of you are going to have taken, going to be at half your blood and half your grit. And in Carnage's case, you take none of that grit damage because of your blood feeding the day prior. Or sorry, not even the day prior, like the moment prior. You feel softness underneath your feet, a silt between your fingers. It's in your hair, it's in your scales, in your folds of your clothes, a sand. You're at the base of a great sand dune. Not a sand dune, sorry, a pile of sand. Like the bottom of an hourglass. The only bit of light is from phosphorescent fungi that go along these natural walls. They're rugged, cavernous. And you see up high above, not directly from whence you fell, is a faintly glowing white light. It's perhaps 100 feet off the ground. In this glow, you can see that faint shimmering of that glass-like white marble that was the make of the structure you were in. You can feel an ache in your body. It's been a day you've been unconscious. Or roughly around that. You can't really tell hours when you're unconscious. What do you two of you do?
Bone Whisperer would stand, slowly groaning and grunting as each one of her bones seems to crack and creak. She first tries out putting weight on her legs, one after another. She winces a bit, but finds that eventually she is able to stand on both. She looks at her hands, makes them into fists a couple of times, And then she looks up, her tongue flitting into the air. And she looks around. Well, this is interesting, unexpected, to say the least. Are you all right, Carnage?
And you hear this. I will be fine. Yes. Do not worry about me. I am more worried for you. Can you walk?
It will take more than a little tumble down some hole to get rid of me. She kind of balances on both legs. She leans on her staff. I shall be fine.
I'm sorry that I dragged you into this. I should have never trusted that fanatical tiefling.
She was only doing what she thought was right.
Where the hell is she? Why did she not?
Both her and Gobotrin are
Reap our fate.
missing. Seems that they did not get sucked into whatever this is.
Yes, well. And he looks up, I think, at this point. He looks back up into the darkness. And then he looks to his left. He looks to his right. I suppose the only way out of here is going to be back up, unless we can find a tunnel, a trail, something that will lead us there.
Bonusper would look around. What is immediately around them?
You see, it is a blanket of sand that forms piles. It all kind of waves from this central pile that you're standing at the base of. And in this sand, you find bits of stone and rock and rubble. Some glass, some a very dark color, some that white marble. Just bits of stuff. You find a bone, a femur to be exact. It's a bit too large to be that of a human's. It's short, it's thicker. You look directly up, and you see the glowing orange light that is the roiling eye of the Harbinger. It is a pinprick, just a small, slight thing. And then you see up, less high off the ground, and over yonder, it is a faint glowing white light. Perhaps the ground rises to meet it, or perhaps it is just some glowing thing that hangs 100 feet off the ground. You cannot tell. Your direct vision does not extend that far. But otherwise, this is a barren wasteland within the earth of nothingness, of just so sand and earth and debris.
Well, there is the ominous light above us, or the ominous light over there. Take your pick.
He sort of grins at that.
Either way it goes, it seems that it's ominous. So, I don't know about you, but I don't think you could do much of a climb at this point. Perhaps we should stay below.
So we are not known for climbing. You are right. Let us go where it conserves our energy most. So she would start walking towards that white light.
As we begin to move, and carnage becomes clearer in your vision as the dim light sort of begins to focus, you can see that Carnage is almost actively sweating down here. He shouldn't be, but between the vision that he just had and the fall, the combination of pains that, for the lack of his blood feeding, with, like, he didn't feel it, but his body is showing it. And I think he looks very paranoid.
I saw some things. I'm sorry, Bone. I didn't know that I would, if I touched it, it would do that.
What did you see?
This creature is unlike the one of fire. It writhes. It doesn't, how do I put it? It doesn't seem to have a body. It just eats and grows and dies and eats again. An insatiable hunger that never ceases. And yet, it devours itself and starts anew. I don't know how to explain it. But it's not like the other one. It makes me nervous for what it can do out in this open. What it will do to Crifoth.
That is not a good omen for what the others might bring.
It made me hungry. Not for power, but I am hungry now. And I've just feasted not too long ago. So I shouldn't need more blood, but I want more blood. Bone. I need it. That's the kind of power that these things wield. That's the kind of power that they have. I want it. But I also know that it's not right.
Right, wrong. Power is power. If we can harness it, it could mean the end. It could mean we could get anything we want. Could you imagine that? To not have to fear each day whether you will eat, whether you will drink, whether you will die, whether this breath is your last. you imagine not having that fear, not having to worry?
You're starting to sound like Zion. But when we get out of here, hopefully we will avoid that creature. I don't think we could take on one of those Harbingers alone.
No. And the difference between Zion and I is she thinks that if these Harbingers, if we can control them, then the world will be perfect. Everyone will be happy. And she just kind of makes this like clicking noise and is kind of shaking her head. That is impossible. There will always be those who rise to the top, crushing and stepping on the heads to get there. And there'll always be people who squalor in their own piss and shit at the bottom. We must decide where we stand in that.
I agree. I'm just glad you didn't die.
As am I.
As he looks down the hallway toward that beacon of light, he looks to her and then looks down the hallway.
What's the chance that we walk down this hallway and something will actually greet us with kindness rather than death? I mean, I'm thinking it's probably not going to be that way, but, you know, optimism.
That is very unlike you, optimism. Maybe Zion is rubbing off on you, too.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just survive the climb.
So we're walking, and what do we see in this light?
And as you approach, as the sand crushes beneath your feet, pass from rock to rock to from sand to sand, you see that the entire wall ahead of you is man-made, artificial, but completely collapsed. And at the top of this collapse is an opening where this natural cave meets that artificial hallway. The collapsed rubble forms somewhat of a hill, an ascent, you might say, to the glowing light. It is not an easy climb, it's far too steep to walk. We see its outcroppings, abutments, and other loose handholds can maybe serve your way up. It's 100 feet up, but definitely not straight up.
Bone Whisperer would just let out a long sigh. Let's get to it.
So for those of you, if you're ascending this ramp of rubble, I'll need an athletics check from both of you.
I got a 7. My dice hate me today.
So Carnage, as you climb, you see that Bone Whisperer starts to lag behind you. as she stumbles and struggles to get her bearing. She is making headway, but 1/10 the pace that you can make it at. Her old bones make it difficult for her to climb. Sometimes you have to stop, give her a hand, help her up. Bone Whisperer, you're going to take 2 points of exhaustion from this rigorous climb. But after a long ordeal of teamwork, desperation, and determination, you make it to the top of this rubbled hill. And you see in front of you is a long hallway that shimmers in a white glow. The white flames that you saw earlier. The pure white light. But this hallway is a bit unusual, for after a certain point, the walls become smeared with blood and bile and other nasty, stinky bodily excretions. And you see someone there. Her skin a paler color than you remember. She's covered in her own filth. Her face is smeared with blood. Her hair is matted. You see Gift stand there with that blue light atop her staff. And Gift, likewise, that is what you see as you approach this white light. You see two figures emerge from a hole in the wall that comes from darkness. What you see, Gift, is you see a Bone Whisperer and Carnage climb up.
She kind of angles the light towards the two figures, and it... Hold? Who goes there? It's, friend or foe? And she's standing in a kind of defensive stance. Her hand is a bit blue. That's where she's not holding a staff. She's not making a rational thought right now.
Ah, Gift. It is good to see that you are still alive.
Oh. And a slight sense of calm does come over her. She says, "Oh, it's you, Mother. It's... I knew that. It's... Hi. Hi.
I can assume that bile and blood back there is your own.
I think so as well. I've seen it's all over me as well." She kind of takes the light and illuminates herself.
Carnage, having kind of seen this before, looks you over.
You survived. Good.
So far. There is still more to come.
Well, it's, besides the purging, and I don't really remember any of it, but I did today as well, and she kind of points over off to the side. I feel like you're just ill. I think.
Carnage looks at you with like a little bit of seriousness. If you think that this transformation is merely an illness, prepare yourself for that.
I don't know what this is, Carnage. And, you know, it would... and you see that maybe she's sweating a bit. Maybe a little more suddenly at this point.
You see that he, at least at the beginning when he saw you, there's this sense of like just complete apathy. Like he didn't care whether you lived, whether you died. Like your actions of just walking away were offensive to him. And so he took that as an offense. And at first he is completely apathetic. But as he sees you struggle, he places a hand on your forehead.
And it's wet.
Yeah.
You know, she kind of maybe nuzzles a little bit into your hand. Now, are tieflings warm-blooded? Is that anything you've ever thought about?
Yeah, they're warm blood.
Okay. And you know, your hand actually feels cool to her a little bit. She maybe reaches up and holds onto your arm. I am sorry that this is something that I had to do. You know how this is something you always wanted your whole life because it was told to you it's the right choice for you. This is that thing, Carnage, for me. And there's tears that are kind of rolling down her face.
He listens to you. And I think for a moment there's a small moment of apathy or empathy towards you. He understands what you're going through. But he looks at you and then he says, "The coming days will get worse. If you think this is the end of it, it's not.
Everything always gets worse before it gets better. I learned that during my reading of books and learning the things I can do."
You're right. Everything gets worse before it gets better. But and he looks to Bone Whisperer and he looks to you. He says, "For the most part." And you hear a crack from probably one of his shoulders as he like moves about. "For the most part, we're back together again."
Where's the other two?
Let's try to keep it that way. I don't know.
Mother? And she kind of walks over to Bone Whisperer and is she standing tall again, or is she, because I know that from the last session, or is she kind of doing her hunched over thing?
She's back to being hunched over, definitely after that fall.
Okay, yeah, I figured so.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so she can kind of look her into the eyes a little. You'll be able to forgive me, right? It really matters.
course, child. You felt as though you had to make this decision, and though I do not agree, that does not mean I do not care about you. But we must get going. We must hurry.
What is all of this? Did you look at the walls here?
Yes, it's quite troubling. The
It
Harbinger.
shows dwarves.
And she kind of stops.
You know I know what they are. You told me that they're a myth, and the one also said that they're not real, but why are they on these walls?
I'm not sure. The main thing is we have to get out. We have to find Gorbochin and Zion. And we have to leave.
No. And she gets very insistent for a second and walks over to one of the walls and shines her light up against it. That is a damn dwarf. They were real.
Well,
Bone Whisperer.
Real or not, they are dead now. And soon we will be too if we don't get going. Carnage, give her the help she needs. And Bone Whisperer would keep walking.
He looks to Gift. We saw that are worse than that Harbinger before. So prepare yourself for that.
What's a Harbinger? She heard none of this. You guys remember? You gotta remember this guy. And we saw one before.
He forgets that.
Yeah.
I think in the slew of everything that has been going on.
Was it that dragon?
Yes. That creature. That used to... It rained fire on us. It's a creature known as a Harbinger.
I thought they were called dragons.
The tiefling. The tiefling that led us here.
Zion, right?
She has a plan. It's an ignorant plan, but it has some merit to it, I suppose. There is something to be said about power. And these things, these ruins, they can provide that.
Have you found more of them? Oh.
Yes. But we need to get moving. We need to move now, and we need to find Zion. And go with him.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least survive.
Then take the way there, big guy.
Come on.
And she very much is feeling ill again.
I think Carnage is gonna try to find a way to sort of piggyback her on an arm. Just kind of let her rest up along one of the shoulders.
How tall is he?
He's so if Bone Whisperer is what you said, close to 8 feet at her full height, at her full extension, not slouched over. If Bone Whisperer is close to 8, he's about 6'8", 6'9". So he's not. Bone Whisperer is taller than him by a long shot, but he still is an imposing figure.
Yeah, I mean, she's a human. I mean, a human and 18. You know, what I mean, she's not. You know, she she's fully grown, but I've kind of envisioned her into being a small girl anyway. So you could absolutely kind of just hoist her up on your back and carry her if you wanted to. Is he capable of doing something like that, Connor?
Yeah, just fireman style it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fire.
Okay. It's she would maybe fight you a little bit in the beginning.
Yep. Until you feel like you can walk, I'll basically fireman's carry you.
Yeah, and yeah, she's doing that drunk stumble right now. We've seen people do that before, so it's she'll allow you to do it. Wait, oh wait, how did you get that way? She points back where you guys came from. Because if we're going that way, and she points in the direction we're going, you would have had to have passed me.
It's called a long drop and a sudden stomp.
You fell. Oh. And I think that she passes out for a few minutes.
And so you walk these shimmering white marble halls, marred with blood, feces, bile, vomit. Just the remnants and ruin that Gift laid waste to this place in her feverish illness. You pass an alcove that is adorned with these silver white flames. You see its small steps rise at the end of it to show a great mural at its most inner part. Do you stop to witness this mural, or do you keep going past?
I think that Bone Whisperer would stop for a quick glance at it. Just to see if it caught her eye.
At first it seems very much the same as the others, until you realize that the forms within this mural are not short, stocky, and square, but tall and slender, almost twice their height and half their width. They have spikes adorning either sides of their heads, ears perhaps, or maybe horns. You can't quite tell, the drawings are too crude. Behind them is a great many spires, trees perhaps. They're being given something by these dwarven folk. An item, an orb, a stone. It's the center point of this mural. It has geometric patterns emanating out from it. It dominates the center. And no matter how you shine a light or turn your head any way, the light from these silver flames casts the rest of the mural in a kaleidoscope pattern from that central pearl all across the mural on either side.
Would Bone Whisperer recognize what these beings are?
They definitely would pass for elves.
But they look definitely different than the ash elves she knows of, right?
Well, it's whether you can make that connection or not is up to you.
I will roll to see if she can make that connection or not.
But a true elf also
A history check.
doesn't exist as well, right? Okay.
They are, again, fables. Sorry, history check?
Yeah.
Nope. She thinks they are elves. She knows they're elves, then that is it.
And she thinks they're ash elves because those are the ones that exist.
And I think that she would initially pass and then stop. Is Gift's light still on?
It hasn't been an hour yet, right?
Yeah.
But I think it might be because she's still holding on to her staff, and like I said, she's passed out in the fireman's carry. It might be aimed at the floor, kind of ish. And I'm not trying to be a pain in the ass, you know what I mean? But I just kind of feel like that's what it would be.
Yeah.
You could clearly, take it from her. As I said, she's passed out right now.
Yeah, Bone Whisperer would turn to Carnage and just... Carnage, bring Gift and her light over here for a moment.
And just like Gorilla Grodd style, just like Herc's like Gift in the position of like leaning his shoulder over just so that the light that's like dangling off the edge of his shoulder now.
Look at these drawings. Elves, I think. They have something here. An orb?
He looks at this too.
Is there some sort of a deal being made between these creatures and elves? Is that what you're assuming? And if they did make such a pact, what was it for?
There's a demon on your back.
Down your back, she rains another.
Lovely.
Which wakes her. It's getting gross. What are you looking at?
A connection, perhaps a lead. Since these are the things that, at least these are alive.
Put me down, Carnage. Can I look?
Fine. And give me time to clean off my back.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I get puked on every day. That's...
It
sort of
smells like blood at this point. It's gross.
Yeah, he kind of just grunts and lets you stand for a moment. Hopefully you.
Yeah, she steadies herself. Yeah, she steadied herself with her quarterstaff and what? Focuses on the wall again. Whoa. Now, because I knew the others were dwarves, will you let me know that these are elves, or do I have to history again?
They are uncannily elves, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the other. Whoa. Why is there so much of old Crifoth in here?
Would Bone Whisperer know? I mean, I'm sure she knows ash elves, but is there an ash elf in particular that is like super old and super knowledgeable that she might have crossed paths with?
you have crossed paths with many ash elves. Some of which are old, some of which are not old. Some of which are so old that they are dead.
Sorry.
You know of one ash elf. He's not the oldest ash elf you've met, but he's one that you still are in the good graces of. He's one who you have bartered with on occasion, traded herbs for meats, for hides, for pelts, for good omens, and so on and so forth. This ash elf, his name is Tali. Always accompanied with the strong-backed rabbit hair giant creature known as a bounder. And he's a nomad, but he always keeps watch over this small village far from your hut. A village called Red Run.
If this is the only lead we can find, I know of an ash elf knowledgeable and wise beyond his years. He has helped me with many things, and I would trust him to ask him about this. If we get out of this alive, we find Zion and Gorbachev, we must talk about this. We must remember. Remember these drawings. But we must push forward. We must continue.
I agree. No more time for dawdling and stalling. Let us move. There might be other things in here besides us.
Mother, I don't think those are ash elves.
Yes, okay, but... Wait.
Can we just take a short bit of time and look at the walls to see, but not study, but just like skim them over like you would a book? Oh, like I would a book?
We do not have much time, my child. Who knows what is happening up there with Gorbachev and Zion? Would you like their death to be on your hands?
And the pause I gave you was on purpose. No.
All right, then just
But,
look at
but
it.
it doesn't sound very convincing. Sorry.
Yeah. Bone Whisperer just... We have time for a skim. To look at it, put as much of it to memory as we can. And then we must push forward.
Okay, Connery. I mean, she's, for Crifoth, super intelligent. You know what I mean? So, she will kind of drunk girl walk with her stick and just be looking at everything that she can see. As a quick skim as they're walking up, just wide-eyed and trying to keep focus as well as she can. Is there any other things that she sees that are from what she knows to be the myth of Crifoth?
As you scan kind of from this central mural, you realize that the image just extends further and further in each direction. As you look upon it, it's, dizzy, and the images kind of dance in front of you in your ill stupor.
Mm-hmm.
On the left of it, preceding it, You see one of those dwarves holding that kaleidoscope stone aloft. And as you move your light, you notice that the colors dance and form patterns across this translucent glass surface. And they form shadows. And in those shadows and in those kaleidoscope colors, they form 4 great serpent-like beings that coil around the central dwarf here. The dwarf wears a crown. He holds a scepter in the hand holding this orb aloft. You see a great mass of serpent-like coils with many, many heads, many tendrils, break off in a shadow. You see a thing as red as the sun above him. It's shimmering. It has almost no form. You see, again, as you shift the light again, you see another one of these beings standing atop a village, a homestead, a farmstead. It is massive, and it is burning everything as flames dance around it. And lastly, the 4th image you see is a crumbling castle. And that is what is on the left. And you move, you see that central diagram of this stone being handed or given from these elven figures. You pass it again, and you see amidst, you're kind of just scanning through this forest, and the forest eventually opens up. And at the center is a tower. There's actually 3 towers, each identical in height, that form just 3 lines in a open patch in the forest. And the forest just continues onwards from there, unending. At the top of the central spike of this 3 towers is that same pearl-like kaleidoscope bubbling off from this marble, and it has the same kaleidoscope properties. It is the same orb, you imagine.
She definitely makes out that these must be all what we call dragons. And definitely, as the most interesting part of it is at the end here, and asks if anybody's ever seen, if these 2 have ever know of or seen towers like this within Crifoth.
And that would be a hard no for all of you.
Yeah.
Nothing. Though many old buildings were buried deep beneath the sands. Now, my child, have you memorized all that you can? You will be the one to tell the elf what you have seen.
Yes, I understand. It is, it's a very sad story there, Mother. Because if this is what our wasteland of a home is, well, my home's not really like this, but it's and as you are when you're not feeling well, she's over emotional, and she starts to weep again, and kind of maybe not collapses, but stumbles backwards and probably falls into carnage again.
Bone Whisperer would nod to Carnage.
Come on. I need to rest up.
Can we more like piggyback it? Would you mind?
Fine.
I'd like to see where we're going. I will let you know if I have to do that again.
Yeah.
And then, like, yeah, he would position you in sort of like piggyback fashion, sort of so that he has access to his arms. I think he would grab probably
Yeah.
if he has an excess of rope, right? He would wrap it around his waist and like wrap her to his back, so that way he has access to his hands and could like potentially fight if he needed to. So he's not holding on to her per se.
To make it a little smaller, we could do like a master blaster thing. That'd have been fun. Yeah. But
Yeah, Connor, if you'll allow that, that'd be kind of what I think he would do.
Yeah, you're definitely able to provide support to her.
yeah. And she's holding on. So I guess onward. She points her light forward.
Like, yeah, right over his shoulder.
Yeah, like right over his shoulder.
He'll start heading forward, kind of guiding Bone Whisperer forward because he wants to be the one in front, considering that she's hobbling like she is. He would rather be the brick wall than let her take the sword first.
And so onwards you trudge beyond this alcove of many secrets and into this long hallway of gore, of blood, of sickness, of illness. And you're able to follow what seems to be tracks of a person with stuttered steps that drags their feet, that grazes their hands along the wall for support, all along the next way here. Signs of blood, signs of vomit, just reeking, assaulting the nostrils with a terrible smell, this mixture. And it continues, and it continues, and continues further on. You pass by many of these alcoves, each with many murals. As you glance upon them, you see scenes that you've already seen before. Some scenes are new. They all seem to have similar messages. They're worshipping at the base of these obelisks. From them, they conjure great beasts. And all of them have this kaleidoscope stone dominating at some point in the mural.
How many has she counted?
Of these murals?
Yeah, like different depictions of.
They're the similar scenes, but a different perspective or different artistic take upon them. More than you can count on your hands. Yeah.
Okay, but I was also thinking is maybe this is the amount of times it's happened. You know what I mean? So it's but it doesn't seem to be that. It seems just like different depictions of the same story.
Exactly.
Okay. You see what I was getting at there, all right?
And finally, you come upon a great antechamber. A giant dome, it's a circle. It is warm. You feel the heat wash over you as you step up to it. It is glowing red. Not from the center, not from the sky, but from the ground itself. You see cracks in the earth. You see a warmth radiate from below. You see that it extends onwards further yet still. You see a great chasm, a bridge that spans this giant dome gap. You realize the red itself runs in either direction as if it were a great river. But as you step further onto this bridge, into this opening, the earth rumbles. And what once was an intact bridge is shattered down the center. As a great thing, red hot, glowing, You can't make it out in the as it steams and boils off. A great titan emerges, cracking the earth aside as it bubbles up from the ground. It is this colossus. As it emerges, smashes and sunders everything around it. It stands 60 feet tall. It climbs yet higher and higher and taller still as it climbs out of what you now realize is magma, lava, that once had a thin, hardened shell from how it cooled. And that is where we're going to roll initiative.
I got a 3.
Oh, my mistake. We don't roll initiative in this game because we just go in the order of the screens. Let's keep things consistent, people. All right, so this great thing, a colossi, you look upon it, you see that it is made of metal that is glowing red hot from the bowels of the earth from which it emerged. It casts off these bubbling, boiling rivulets of magma that fall off of it, and the steam and boil, it hisses. Great, 2 titanic arms emerge. One a hammer, one an axe blade. With one of these, it had smashed this bridge in half, just emerging. And the other, it is kind of hoisting itself up to gain full leverage and stand with its titanic size. It opens this copper face. No voice bellows from it. Just steam, hot air. And you can see at its center, underneath this layer upon layer of copper armor, is a fragment of stone that glows red. Not red like lava or magma. A different kind of red. A purer kind of red. You've never seen a stone like this before that has glowed in this way and looked this way. It pulsates some kind of energy, not heat, you don't imagine. Something else entirely. It sparks with red lightning, similar to how the obelisks did in the chambers before. Gift. What do you do?
Run? I don't know. But that's not a hallucination, right? She kind of
If you look at your companions, with the shocks on their faces as well, they see it too.
Okay. As a reaction, I open up a sigil and cast mage armor on myself. And I don't even know if this will work. We'll try it. Give me 1 second. It's almost ready. So you look at your fun spells. Just to see if it do anything with it. Yeah, I cast Fester. onto the creature. Because I don't have much left. I would really love a long rest.
This creature has no flesh to fester and is immune to the effects of your spell. As you trace your sigil and ineffectually.
Mm-hmm. I figured so, but she didn't. Doesn't have much. She's gonna be grossly ineffective in this fight. So, she does back up once we came some, 30 feet, and we can't fight that. She just kind of shouts.
Bone Whisperer. What do you do as this titan of copper emerges from the bubbling magma below, breaking it asunder, smashing the bridge in front of you, the path ahead?
So this was the only way out that we had seen other than the hole we fell through.
Absolutely, yeah.
With the Harbinger peering through it, right?
Yes.
Ah. There is no other way out. Maybe we can distract it long enough for us to cross. And, I am a horrible player. Is Hunter's Mark a bonus action?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. How far away is she from this thing?
About 50 feet.
Okay, perfect. She's going to walk a few steps forward, not too many, and she's going to cast Hunter's Mark on this Titan. What she does is her hands outstretch, and you can almost see this black, wispy ooze coming from her hands. And as it does so, it comes out more and more. And it travels and it curls around this Titan, coming ever more closer and closer together to the Titan until it touches its armor, and then it vanishes. And then she takes her staff and she pounds it against the stone. And on the third time she does so, it creates this reverberation throughout the cavern, louder than it should have been. And this shadow of a blade, like you have seen before, comes out, and this shadow darts towards this colossus. And I can make a melee attack.
Awesome.
Yes. That is going to be a 24 to hit.
That'll hit.
And then Hunter's Mark does extra damage, correct?
Yep. 1d6 extra damage.
Perfect. Oh, all right. So that is going to be 7 plus 4 is 11.
What kind of damage is this?
Force.
Awesome. Yeah, so you swing the shadow blade in the distance, and it passes through that copper armor and you can see it strike something a little bit more important beneath. Some kind of whatever systems animate this thing, you've struck a bit of a blow to it. Carnage. What do you do?
Carnage is not backing down. He's not going to back down, but he certainly knows when a dangerous situation is worth evading rather than going towards. So, like Bone Whisperer, I think he's more about distracting and keeping this creature at bay and then moving forward. So he'll begin to move forward. And as he does so, I think he's going to reach for one of his javelins. And following suit with Bone Whisperer, he's going to try and pin that javelin in the spot where she just successfully kind of like cut into this creature.
All right, give me a javelin toss throw, please.
All right, cool. Yeah, so that's going to be 19 on the die, and
that'll hit.
Okay, cool. So that's going to, good. So it's going to be 11 damage because he's going to, 11, because I'm adding on my, so it'll be 11 damage as this javelin just, he roars, right? I think in that percussion when the thunderous wave went off from Bone Whisperer's staff and the blade came out, right? As soon as that thunder kind of happened, he roared with it, just raging, chucked it as hard as he could, and speared this thing in that same shoulder, kind of knocking it back.
And you're able to find some weak point in between the gaps of the plates of copper that are its armored hide. You hear a familiar voice echoing a shout, a yell. You're alive! You see that red-skinned tiefling, all too familiar, descend running, sprinting, down the steps that are on the other side of the bridge. She yells, "It's of no use! There's too many of them! They're all over this damn place!" And as she says that, you hear more thunderous, just cacophony of earthquake as the ground around you trembles above and below and beside. As you see another one kind of emerge from the magma a way distance off and begins to plod towards the bridge from this way.
I think at that point, Bone Whisperer would yell across, "Then we are trapped! We cannot return the way we came!"
"You can leap it!" Zion says, as she runs to the edge. In the meantime, this one just obliterates part of this stone bridge as it makes its way towards you. Gift, what do you do?
Gift, knowing her current status, knows that she can't leave that gap. There's just no way on this. I was gonna say green planet, but this dusty planet. And she's pretty expelled. So at this point, she would like to look to her two friends and say, to follow. It's I don't have a lot in me anymore. It's all come out. And she does step forward to be even with Bone Whisperer and tries a thing. I cast Toll the Dead. So I draw a sigil that is unfortunately a little too close to maybe Bone Whisperer, as she's not completely steady. And yeah, I cast Toll the Dead on that creature. So I must make a Wisdom saving throw. Or if it's,
Well, it fails its wisdom saving throw.
it's missing blood
Yep,
points.
it is definitely. Yep, it's missing points.
Okay, so 2d12. That is the 12. Oh. 14 points of necrotic damage.
You find it does much less than you anticipated, but you're able to find some resonation with that stone at the center of its chest cavity. As just for a brief moment, it fades a slight amount and then returns to its full capacity after your spell happens again.
Fades as in, like, blinks out of existence?
You dulled the light from it for a brief moment.
Okay, but it's
with
not
the,
like
with the
it
casting of your
started,
spell.
yeah, it's not like it started to disappear. It
No.
just, okay, I just want to make sure.
Fades, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. And yeah, like I said, she gets herself even with where bonus for is. And that would be my turn.
Bone Whisperer, what do you do?
Bone Whisperer is going to start heading, is going to kind of lead Gift, if she can, over to Carnage, because she cannot help her. She wishes she could, but she can't even do it. She can't even help herself, so she would actually kind of help Gift over to Carnage, and then continue on as far as she can towards the gap.
You just feel the heat radiating from the ground beneath you. You see that as you look over the edge, as you pass it, the distance to the ground is a mere 20 feet.
And it
bubbles
all
now. Broken.
Is that correct? It's all magma underneath us?
Yes. The thin crust that had formed prior is now completely destroyed just by the eruption of these great beasts of metal. And so where are you moving to? Or are you just standing with her?
Well, after she kind of leaves Gift with Carnage, she's just going to move up as far as she can.
Yep. So you can move approximately somewhere.
How far is... When she gets closer to this gap, can she tell how much of a distance it is?
Yeah, you're able to see that the gap itself is maybe 10 feet at its closest parts.
Okay.
So each of those little tiles is roughly 5 feet.
Okay. So, move around here.
Yep.
Okay.
And Carnage, What do you do?
I think Bone Whisperer leaves Gift with Carnage, and Carnage, for the most part, thought that Gift had been like strapped to him, that he had taken the precautions, but she's slippery, and his back is still probably covered in the viscera, and he growls a bit.
Stay with me, you little runt.
And he grabs onto her collar, and he just begins to hoof it at this point. He looks to Bone Whisperer, kind of seeing if she's going to be okay. And, like, I think in passing, like, he's on his way, steadily moving, but like, are you going to be fine? Because I don't want to keep doing this if this is something bad.
Yeah, I think they make eye contact for a moment, and you just see Bone Whisperer just nod. Get Gift to the other side.
I'll try my best. You got it. I'm not going to leave you behind, though. I refuse to do that.
Go.
And so he'll move up, and he'll begin to. I think he will actually attempt to try and jump the gap as he's rushing up, if that's possible, Connor. Or,
Yep. But running past on this loose stone here will cause an attack of opportunity from this giant colossi.
Oh. Okay.
Unless you find some way to really circumnavigate around it, perhaps using the smaller outcropping.
I think he will. I think he'll go this route then.
The southern route.
Yeah, he'll go.
It'll involve another leap, though.
He will go this way, and then leap, and then hopefully make it, and then attempt to do another leap from that spot afterwards, obviously, and then in the next turn. So he would grab hold the gift, move, and then attempt to leap to the other side.
Make me an athletics check, please, with disadvantage because you're carrying the burdening gift.
Okay, so... Oof. Okay, no, that's not that bad. Okay, I forgot how high my athletics was. So a total of 16.
And what is your strength score?
Strength score is +5.
Okay, yeah, you're able to clear this
modifier.
gap.
Okay.
Yeah. As you land, you kind of like lean back a little bit on the edge, but you gain your footing once again. And that'll be the as you're running, you can approach the edge of the thing. That'll be the end of your turn.
That's perfect.
The great colossi literally towers over you, Bone Whisperer. And it brings up the great hammer arm that it wields and smashes directly where you are. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, please, along with a d4 roll.
Hopefully I got all my bad rolls out of the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got an 11.
Well, I'll need you to make a d4 check. Not a d4 check. A d4 roll, please.
Okay. That is a 4.
All right. You are hanging off to dear life on the... Let's see. How do I do this? Order. Send backward. Send backward. Oh, gosh. Oh, gee, willigers. You're hanging on, like just hanging from the right-hand side of the gap as the stone that you're once standing on has given way and has crashed into the magma below and is slowly kind of bubbling and sinking into it. this little square I've placed there is supposed to be where the thing has collapsed. Oh, no. It just disappears randomly.
Oops, that was me.
Oh, there we go. Oh, that was you. I see.
Yeah.
Right.
I was trying to help.
Color, orange, red.
So am I just like in the magma?
No, you're dangling from that stone edge.
Oh, okay.
As in, you just got the DC of the roll.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but you're dangling there. Your heavy frame is dragging you down. You can feel the warmth of the magma sizzling and spitting in like these bursts of hot air, licking your feet and your tail. It had smashed down its hammer arm, and it comes down for a second blow, and it obliterates. Let's see if I can copy this. Yeah, I can. And it obliterates another section of this stone, crashing it down into the magma again, leaving just these small pillars of stone hanging on as like little stepping stones that tower 20 feet in the air. And the second one smashes and breaks away the area here. Just completely smashing this this segment. And that brings us to Gift's turn.
All right. Politically, not a strong suit. Even a little. She looks to Carnage. Are we going to try to make that gap there?
I think you're talking to him.
Yeah.
But he doesn't hear you for a moment. He looks across the gap to Zion.
You see her standing there, like arms outstretched, ready to catch you. She's saying, "Jump! You can do it!"
He calls out, "Help her."
She goes, "I think with your help, we'll make it across." And I would like to use the help action to give, well, we know what the help action does.
Giving that advantage.
To give him advantage for when we, which will just make a straight roll, right?
Yep, it'll cancel out the disadvantage that just carrying you would give.
Zion, I've seen you fail a demon. I know what you're capable of. Help her.
And referring to Bone Whisperer, like he knows he's looking back. He can see the devastation that's just happening around him, and he's about to jump, but he looks back as she's like, he can barely see the talons that are like gripping and clawing on the stone, and he's like,
distract them. Whatever you have to do, help them.
And she looks to you and nods as she then turns, leaving where you are, and stands at the edge here and begins to weave some kind of magic within her fingers.
And I think he looks to Gift now.
I can worry about saving us both. I can't save Bone and you at the same time. You just have to trust me. Hold on. This is going to be a bumpy ride.
And he backs up to the furthest point on this little precipice. And I imagine it's probably even teetering from just the weight loss of all these brittle pieces. And
you feel kind of shift beneath your
as
feet
I back up,
topple.
it's like kind of like a little seesaw of weight distribution. And he looks to her. Hold on tight. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. And he just sails, for a lack of a better term. I think he will have his halberd out as a means of, in midair, as a means of like adjusting himself if need be to land, right? Like he'll just have it as a hook, sort of, as a carabiner to sort of try to grip if he misses this.
All right, give me a straight athletics roll, please.
All right, cool. That is a 19. So it's 12 on the die plus 7, 19.
19, and your strength score, you said, was a 20. Yep. So, Gift, you feel the purchase of hard ground hit your feet, then your knees, then your hands as you are thrown across the way. You feel, or you hear, the scraping sound of a halberd scrape against a stone. You look back, you see the halberd. You do not see Carnage. Carnage, you're dangling. The halberd thankfully hooked into some rocky outcropping between the seams of the tiles. But it won't hold. You can feel the haft of your halberd kind of bowing underneath your weight. It's hooked, it's held fast, but who knows how long. But Gift is safe. In the meantime, the colossi just advance further. And this one brings up yet another hammer arm above you, Bone Whisperer. But in mid-swing, just these almost firecracker things come. Oh, sorry. Did I miss your turn?
I think so, because...
Was that all Gift's turn? Oh, we skipped
because they're kind of both together, right? So
yeah, never mind. Sorry.
Okay.
And so it's ready for a mid-swing, and what do, Bone Whisperer?
The Bone Whisperer is going to try and scrabble up back onto the ledge and then just jump this gap here.
Yeah, make me athletics check just to climb up, please. Athletics
yes.
Check.
14.
Yep, you climb up. Your strong arms, like they still have a strength to them despite your years. And the adrenaline pumps, yeah.
Yeah, she uses her nails, her claws just scrape up. She lets out this cry in pain as her nails are just digging into this unforgiving stone, but she gets herself up.
You find some footing to your hind legs and even your tail as all of your body, it's 8 feet of size, finally just push its way back up onto the top of this thing. And if you were to move past this colossi, then jump the gap, it would provoke an attack of opportunity.
Yeah, that's okay. She needs to get out.
All right, as you run past, it tracks you. Its big form kind of grating as the axe head of the other arm comes swinging past as you leap past it. Give me an athletics check, please, to sail this gap here.
18.
All right. You're able to you feel the ground like you kick off from it, and you are in the mid-air as just the great axe head that is just a ton or more in size and weight comes. Well, that's the wrong die. Thank goodness. Oh, okay. Never mind. I wish I took the other roll. All right. Does a 27 hit your AC?
Oh, yeah.
All right. This is gonna deal 13, 14, 20, 25, 32 points of bludgeoning damage to you as you're struck midair. Do you survive this blow?
I do not.
Well, your unconscious body slams, cracks into the little outcropping, the rail, the guard on the far side of the bridge. And your weight actually...
Oh, wait, no, yes, I do. Sorry,
You do?
I do. Yes. Wait. Where do these temporary hit points come? And why do I have them in my... Are they gone?
How did you get temporary hit points?
I don't know. I just have this on my character sheet.
It's from Gobachun in her healing stuff. Yeah, they still be there.
Yes! Yes! I'm alive with 1 hit point!
Again, you lie slumped down, just crack your shoulder into like the guardrails of this bridge. You can feel it actually tip under your weight and it's beginning to fall over. In like just this dizzying thing, you are able to pull yourself together, but you're literally, the whole pillar you're standing on is beginning to fall and topple away.
Thank you, Tamiko.
The two colossi, this one obliterates the rest of the one that you were just standing on with that last hammer. Just smashes it completely away. This one comes to follow you. And it obliterates the sections of whoops, that is the wrong button. There. It obliterates the sections of stuff as it just crashes and crashes. And it strikes, swinging its axe blade upon you. And it misses you, but it strikes the ground in which you stand, completely tipping it over, the stone you stand upon, as it crashes into the outcropping of the bridge that Carnage is dangling down from. Carnage, you can see this great weight of stone literally coming like just gavel style at you. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw or a strength saving throw, your choice.
Well, I will take the strength saving throw, and it will be, because I get advantage on strength saving throws, I think, when I'm enraged. So... yeah, so that'd be... yep, that'll be 19 then if I'm doing a strength saving throw.
All right, you're able to lift yourself off just in time as the stone just crashes into the rest of the bridge where you guys are all standing upon, as you're able to lift yourself up. But you weren't able to bring your halberd with you as you hoist it up, and it is snapped in twain right at the half that was sticking out. You have just a mere axe blade and a paltry amount of stick left to hold it with. And so we'll just call one of these the platform. Make it tiny, because that's what you're standing on now. Move it down a bit. There we go. Make it a different color. Make it a nice dark brown. Make it bigger. That is where you're standing upon now. It is just completely like connected now in some weird like balancing fashion. This is all just obliterated stuff. That was their turns. And oh yeah, then like Zion is like these firecrackers emanate from her fingers as like this black and red fire and electricity energy careens from them and slams into the head of this great colossi, kind of sending it dizzying and disorienting it for a moment. You don't have much time! Get out of here! She yells over the din and just cacophony of noise. Gift, you've landed safely, but you've taken 3 points of damage just from the toss and hitting the stone. But you're on your feet now. You're able to just stand up and do your stuff. You're safe. What do you do?
All right. I don't know. I think that she would look to Carnage, then look to Bone. And how far away is Bone Whisperer from me, like legitimately?
Like 10 feet away, right behind you.
So, and then the edge of it is 5 feet away? Like I could, if I was to reach out my staff,
Yeah, you could
and
definitely.
she could grab onto it, I would be able to pull her.
Theoretically, yes.
Well, I mean, I'm not a strong person at all, but at least it would be,
You're able to definitely
some-
connect with her in that way.
yeah, and at least it may be able to. I would like to do that and give the help action again to Bone Whisperer to help her ensure that she gets across. And I can't hold movement. That's a thing that you can't do in 5e. So I would love to be able to run after that, but as with any time you're not feeling well, but some really fucked up shit happens in your life when you're not feeling well, she doesn't feel so bad right this minute. So she's just getting that like superhuman strength a little bit there, and certainly wants to help out the person that she calls her mother.
So Bone Whisperer, Gift has offered her staff to help you up. And with it, you're able to get to your feet with ease. And if you so choose, run to the opposite bridge, the opposite end of the bridge that you've now just collided with.
Gift, what is your staff made from? Oh. What is your staff made from? Is it wood
I don't know.
or bone?
I've never I haven't thought about that until right now. I'm going to be very honest. I think it would be bone because it probably came from you.
Perfect. She would grab a hold of this bone staff. And as she does so, you can see these black, but not like affliction, but like these black purpley veins begin to pop up through the bone and almost like snakes slither up the bone and into her hand. And you can see that it begins to glow once it's in her hand and begins up her arm and throughout the rest of her body. And she takes a deeper breath and she's casting false life on herself. But yeah, and then she will, with the help of gifts, she will walk to where she can. Awesome. And I hear myself 16 points.
Carnage, what do you do?
Yeah. So then Carnage looks to his two companions and then looks to Zion, and then he knows he has to like get everyone out. He has to just, there's something about him that like he is, I have to take care of people. He looks to Zion and then he looks to the two. He says, "Go down the hallway quickly. I'll make sure all of you get out. I want to be the last one. Run. Get to solid ground. I'll be there in a minute." And he's standing there with a broken, like basically a battle axe at this point. The haft is broken and he's just got it clinched in one hand.
So you make your way. As you stand there, you got your axe. The great colossi of copper, with big lumbering steps, they advance and they begin to obliterate the stone and just basically chew, almost Pac-Man style, with these big bits. Zion has to leap back as the bit of stone she was standing upon is crushed by these strakes. Likewise, I need all three of you please to make a dexterity saving throw as the stone beneath you is being just obliterated by this wide hammer swing. Bone Whisper and Carnage, you're able to keep your balance as the stone beneath you gives way. Gift, however, you're the closest to this great colossi, and you're not able to catch your bearing as you fall off the edge. And you fall, and you stand upon hot magma. And that hot magma slowly creeps up the soles of your feet, up to your ankles. The pain was instantaneous, and now you no longer feel anything, as your legs, foot first, are being cooked almost instantaneously as you sink second by second into the magma. What do you do as you are immobilized, standing there, facing excruciatingly painful sensation? 20 feet below, cooked alive. Oh, and also at the beginning of your turn, you're going to take 18 points of fire damage.
Like that matters. She looks up. You can probably see the two of them staring down back at her. And knowing that the distance is too great for them to do anything of worth, she closes her eyes. And kneels down and prays.
Bone Whisperer, your child has fallen.
You were saying it's not that far, is it?
It's 20 feet down.
20
It's 20 feet. A 20-foot drop
feet?
down. And she is now about waist deep in the magma.
She's not making a sound.
You smell cooked flesh, burnt flesh. The smell of hair burning. The smell of her cloth burning. She is alit now from just the sheer heat of it all.
Wow.
Okay. Bone Whisperer is going to quickly, she runs to the edge. She takes this coin. She holds it in her hand very tightly. And she places it in her mouth. And immediately she begins to grow. She begins to straighten. Her hands enlarge, and it's not this magical looking growth. It looks painful. It looks like her bones are cracking. And I'm using a fragment.
Ooh.
Yes.
For those of you who are not aware, a fragment is a special type of magic item in Crifoth. It is a one-time use magic item. It is essentially a fragment of a magic item that has lost its power and now has some stranger magical function that can only be used once.
So she had this gold coin, and she is with the head of an elk on one side and the figure of a lion on the other. And she has placed the head of the elk on her tongue. And that has caused her size to double. So
now you can definitely reach down as you lean over the edge and meet her with your hand.
Yep. She's going to scoop her up.
As you grab her, the most sickening thing happens as you lift her torso out, but not her hindquarters. As the suction is just too strong, as you rip her in half, she's still barely alive at this, just struggling with shock. Her entrails just hang down. A little bit of cooked flesh remains at where they stand. But you hold her torso in your large, behemoth lizard hands.
And she would cradle her like a babe in her arms and just begin walking out with these huge strides. Doesn't even say a word.
You see,
as she just holds her close to her.
And with that, I've deleted Gift off of the battle map. Carnage, what do you do?
Carnage just witnessed this. He saw the closest thing to a mentor grow in an immense size that he has not seen before, do something that he's never seen anyone do. He's seen this young girl who had potential, who if she lived, would have perhaps been a strong tiefling. And he grits his teeth and he looks to Zion as he begins to backpedal as fast as he can. He knows he wants to keep her safe, but he knows that the same fate could happen if he stands still, if he keeps going. And so he looks to her and, we need to go. We need to go now. And he begins to backpedal faster out of the back. Following in Bone Whisperer's strides, just and not looking back at this point.
And likewise, Zion follows you in stride as literally behind her, these great constructs are obliterating the bridge in which they stand. And she leaps as the last bit of the bridge is obliterated and smashed. She leaps over that large gap. She lands, she rolls, she tumbles as finally they've just gone through everything. And your guys are able to just barely make it out of their reach as they begin to start to climb up out of the muck they're basically wading in, death magma muck. We're able to outpace them. These things are slow, they're lumbering, and they have little maneuverability in these hulls now. As you make your way back into the winding glass corridors, Bone Whisperer, you literally have to crouch. These are not made for a person this size. But as you run run as fast as you can. You put no thought to what's behind you anymore. You just press on and on and on until the very last bit of wind leaves your lungs. You've escaped. And with that, we're going to end this session. As the limp, dead torso of Gift lies in Bone Rooster's hands, cradled. Zion looks to Carnage, silent, without words. Thank you. Have a good night. This was Dice on Ice with Crifoth Reclamation. These were my players as they ran through this trial of death. This is Crifoth. We'll do some outros here. Start off with you, Corey.
An outro. How interesting. Yeah, it's not shocking. We all joked and knew this was coming, that something was gonna happen to one of us. This is Crifoth. This is not easy 5e where everything is beautiful and your DM helps you along. That's not what this game is about. And I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? I got a beautiful death. She burned in magma and half her body came out. Maybe they'll keep it. It might be kind of weird. You know what I mean? I don't know. We've already
backpack.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And we discussed this already. Before next session, I will roll up something else, and I think I want to continue with what I started. So you might see a horned person coming here soon. I got an idea already. So me and Connor, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit after the game.
Absolutely we will. Thank you, Corey. It was fun killing you. Playing with you.
Yes.
Megan.
Thank you.
Hi, yes, hello, I'm Megan. Co-author of this horrible place. And yeah, this is also my channel. Really, really fun. I love this grittiness. It makes you very afraid, so that's always fun. And I'm excited to see what character Corey brings next. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Megan. Can you take us away, Chad, with your sultry Carnage voice?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Hi, guys. This game has become something very special to me. Every week now, I look forward to Crifoth. I look forward to seeing how long we can last. And tonight was a very nerve-wracking night. I had a lot of fun. Connor, you really brought Crifoth to a whole new level of exploration and mystery and cool stuff that I'm excited to delve into. I don't know where it's gonna go, but I'm excited for it. Yeah, so guys, my name is Chad. I am on this channel fairly regularly, but I also have a YouTube channel out there. You can find, just search my name, Chadnick, K-N-I-C-K, and you'll find me. Also, I have a little website out there called gastrogamer.org. You can hit up, and I'm also 1/3 of a podcast called The Dudes of Yore with Jeremy Lilly and Jeff Doty. And we are going to be hopefully having another one out here soon. And then very soon in this month, I have
my buddy Rob over at Performance Check is going to be running a new session of Lore Keepers, which we're going to be diving into. So I'm super happy about that. Guys, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to next week. Hopefully, we can continue to survive and thrive in Crifoth. But that's optimism, and that's not how it works.
And thank you, Chad. And thank you to Jake Norman out there from Mini Terrain Domain. He was the one that assembled that little advert you saw at the beginning of the stream for our Crifoth thing. It was a total awesomeness that he made for us, and we want to give a very wholehearted thank you to him. I can check him out on Twitch, on YouTube. It's Mini Terrain Domain, MTD, the MTD. He runs a lot of games, does some crafting stuff. If you're watching us, you probably know who he is. But if you are watching us and don't know who he is, you should know who he is, and we will judge you if you don't know who he is. So check him out so we don't have to judge you. With that said, if you like Crifoth, this is the obligatory, you should try and pick it up because it is a beautiful book with beautiful death inside. It's soft cover, full color art with a bunch of cool 5e stuff. I'm being a shill. Thanks everyone for watching. And Megan, can you take us the Crifoth out of here, please? I put please in there because I'm polite.